So just being aware of that at the beginning of a relationship where you're kind of into somebody else. So if you're not in a relationship just now, just think about any relationship from the past that might have been troublesome, where you've maybe been more into them or they've been more into you. And just let it come naturally to you. It will naturally respond. And just being aware of where you might felt that you weren't heard or you weren't listened to, or you might feel a bit like you were banging your head on a big brick wall. There's a fair bit of angst around some relationships. Yep, just tune into that troublesome relationship. It might be current, but it might not. That's it. Just let yourself just deepen your awareness. You know, you might have a couple of them come up, but it's likely there'll be one primary relationship. It's mostly feeling like intimate relationships. It's not necessarily feeling like parental relationships. And sometimes how the relationships start off is not how it ends up, you know. So we sort of go through those phases, the honeymoon phase, the phase where we recognize our differences. Then we can have the stages of conflict within a relationship. And then we come to another point in the relationship, which is we will either resolve the conflict or we'll leave the relationship. Now, nobody, leaves a relationship immediately. Like it's kind of like we go round and round the circle until we are in enough pain with the relationship that we simply can't keep doing it to ourselves. And that's when we will either leave the relationship or we'll have discussions about what has to change. Yeah? And we will be we'll often have a lot of emotional response where we might be distraught that the relationship's finishing, or we might feel a sense of relief, or we might just go through the conflict phase, come to a different resolution, and we'll carry on back into the honeymoon phase. All of these points are normal. It's very normal to go round and round this. So if you haven't been in a relationship for a little while, so I would say around about anything more than 2 years. If you've not been in a relationship for a couple of years, then just let yourself sort of relax more into that. This is the way it is, and this is what you've chosen to do, which is to just either recover or get to know more about yourself, and quite likely prioritize yourself more. It's very easy, very, very easy to lose sight of yourself in intimate relationships. It's very easy to put the other person before your own actual needs. And especially if you sort of have a bit of a people pleasing thing, it's very easy to just honestly completely lose sight of the fact that you're an individual and that you're not half of something. You're never half of anything. So Sandy and I have been married for nearly 40 years and we're not half of anything. We're two individuals in one relationship. So I'm in relationship with Sandy, which is one relationship. And he's in relationship with me, which is one relationship. We're not half of each other's relationships. We're wholly in each other with each other. Just let yourself just sink into that, because often we can have that thought from, and certainly I did for a long time, that you're sort of like the other half. I mean, people say it, don't you? The better half, the other half, all these things. This isn't actually what relationship is like. That's a myth. So often in relationship, it will show you your shadow. And another thing that it shows you, and I think this is the hardest thing, is it shows you where your boundaries are not, where you've not got boundaries. And we all have to learn to put in boundaries. Our boundaries are sort of formed from our childhood conditioning. So if you had a great childhood and great parents, the chances are your boundaries are pretty reasonable. If you didn't, then it's likely that your boundaries are skew-whiffy. It's likely that your boundaries are not in the right place. It's likely you probably don't give yourself enough credit in relationships. You probably would put the other person's needs before your own, because if you have difficult parents or narcissistic parents, it's very easy to develop that pattern and to continue the pattern into any other intimate relationships. So let yourself just take some deep breaths. So just, if you're working on your primary relationship, that's great. If you're working on the one that's finally fairly recent, that's all good. Or you just get a clear sense of which relationship you're working on. If you find you have a parent coming up, that's okay too. But just be aware that what we're working on is the pattern that's current in your life, which you have learned or inherited from the parents. And I want you just to focus on the mouth, holding the mouth closed, the tongue on the palate. And just let the energy form like a circuit as it pours down into your head. And let it just form a circuit as it comes up through the front of the head. So where your tongue is touching the palate, just let it become like a circuit. Down through the back of the head into the mouth and the neck. Pass the energy across to the front and then let it come up through the ajna and up to the crown. So just like a little circuit, and it's just in the head. So most often when we're doing this, we're using bigger circuits, like we often take the energy down to the base and round and up. Or you just do this little circuit for a bit with the head. As we call the Supreme Being, Divine Mother, Divine Father. We call on our souls and our divine selves. We call on beloved Sri Shakti Narayani Amma and all of the great ones who love and assist humanity with unconditional love. We ask that each one of us be a clear channel for divine light, divine love, and divine healing energy. We ask for assistance this evening to clear out old patterning that no longer serves us. We ask the old patterning of feeling that we're helpless or hopeless in any relationship be brought to the foreground and released. We ask this in full faith, through the divine grace, so be it. And breathe in through the crown and just gently bring the energy down through the circuit and release through the ajna. And just being aware of the point in the middle of the head, the pineal gland. And just let your energy, just let your attention rest inside your head. Imagine that there was a line across the top of your ears and a line down through the center of your head. And just find the point where those two lines cross. Just let your internal Ajna chakra, just look for that point in the middle. And when you find it, you'll often feel like you get like a wee zap, or you might just feel like a bit of tingling or some sort of sensation. But you'll have some sense of knowing that you're on it. And then just let yourself just rest there with your awareness in that point in the head. That's it. Just keep your attention there and all of the things that go on in your life in relation to relationship. So. And then just with still the tongue on the palate, I want you to just begin to breathe in through your nostrils. Hold the breath gently and then just release the breath. And keep your focus in your head. Just being aware of all of the mental constructs around the relationship. Thinking that the relationship is this, that, or the other. Thinking that perhaps that you're helpless in this relationship, that you can't do anything about it. You can't change it. Anything like that. This is safe problems that we tell ourselves that we can't do anything about it. And what that does, the safe problems, is it keeps us in our comfort zone. So even although it might be terrible, it's still familiar to us. It's what we know. And sometimes we will do anything to maintain that status quo, even when we know a relationship is not good for us. Keep the tongue on the palate, keep bringing the energy down and through, and just let it release wherever it needs to release. There's quite a lot coming out of the Ajna chakra, and there's also quite a lot coming out through the ears. So, and just relax even more deeply. Just being aware of an inner child or a younger you, any part of yourself that has felt under pressure or conflict at any point in your life. It feels to me as though this is quite young, but it won't be that for everybody. It's just for some of you, it's quite young. Just let yourself just focus on that part of self that might have not known how to deal with conflict, that might have become a pawn in other people's conflict, or you might have been used to try to take sides or satisfy arguments. Let's be aware of anything along those lines. And just let your body begin to relax more and more each time with each breath. Gently, gently, gently. I'm just going to listen to a favourite song of mine, which you've all heard before, called Returning by Jennifer Berazan. So you just to focus on your breath and just let your breath and your body just kind of come into alignment with this music. It will happen naturally anyway. But just keep your attention on the fact that what you're working on tonight is some form of intimate relationship. Especially any place where you thought that the other person had power over you, where you couldn't stand up for yourself or protect yourself, perhaps. Tongue on the palate. Let the energy move in that small circuit. Start to breathe the energy out of the ajna. In through the crown and out of the ajna. Return it through the throat. In through the crown to the throat, across and up and out through the ajna. So that your body start to recognize the movement in the body, the shifting consciousness. And at some point, just allow all of your attention to come into the ajna. Just being aware that that was then and this is now. Just let your heart begin to engage as well. If you feel yourself drifting, bring in more of the heart energy. Learning to love yourself more. Just give permission for more help. Ask for more help. Allow more help. Just taking some nice deep breaths in. Just feel your body and the attunement of your body. Yourself just coming deeply inside yourself into the sacred spaces within you. And just being aware of the Divine Mother, however you perceive the Divine Mother. The primary way that I perceive the Divine Mother is Mother Earth. Let yourself just tune in to Mother Earth. You might want to start just directly with what's around you, trees and rivers, oceans, lakes, whatever's near you. Just tuning into whatever nature is providing for you. And then just let your imagination just move towards other places that you've been that are delicious for you. So you might find yourself at other places in Australia or other places throughout the world. Just being aware of the Divine Mother as the Earth, Gaia, Parameshwari, the Divine Feminine as Mother. And just tune into that energy. It's always there. It's never gone anywhere ever. And just as we have a spirit that animates our body, a soul that animates our physical body, the earth too has a spirit or soul that animates the earth body. The earth is a living thing, just like we're a living thing. Fair enough, the trees might not get up and walk, but it's still a living thing. The trees are breathing in the carbon dioxide and releasing the oxygen. They're spreading the roots millimeters at a time. They're extending themselves. They're living and growing, just as we are living and growing. So tune in. Trees are a great way to really connect in with the earth. And if you have any difficulty, it might be easier to think of perhaps a really big, beautiful tree that you might have met somewhere along your journey. And if you come across a big, beautiful tree that you know on your journey, then imagine yourself standing with your back to the tree, just absorbing the energy that is the tree, and just let yourself just put down roots wherever that tree may be. As you put the roots down, just feel the nurturing earth energy coming up through your root system and into your body, helping you to be physically present in your body and on the earth at the same time. So a lot of meditation often has a focus on taking you up and out of your head. So the meditation is upwards into transcendental meditation. But this week, we're just going to do that connecting to the earth energy and meditate with the earth. Just imagine a being so large and so beautiful that is the epitome of the spirit of the earth. And just connect to that spirit, however you know that spirit. And just being aware of the meaning that being connected to earth brings to our life. It helps keep us grounded, but it also keeps us very centered in that we are more than just the body, more than just our mind, more than our emotions, that we're each unique and we are each special, because there's no other being or person on earth that is identical to us, not even identical twins. Being aware of your own individuality, your own uniqueness. Just be aware of anywhere where you are prone to criticizing yourself, telling yourself that you're not good enough on any way, shape, or form. And then just being aware of the spirit that animates the earth. And let's just call this spirit God. And just imagining if this spirit would want the best for you. Would they want you to have the very best experience? Would they want you to have lots of joy and happiness? They would it want you to feel fulfilled and successful? What would this spirit want for you? And just be aware of any place where you're sort of at odds with what this great spirit wants for you. The great spirit always wants what's best for us. There is no other answer to that question. And just be aware of the gap between what the great spirit would want for you, which you would internally know and understand. And then just to realize where you're actually at. How far are you away from what the great spirit would want for you? How close are you to being the best version of yourself? How close are you to really loving yourself and not allowing yourself to be critical, not always being down on yourself? Let yourself just feel it. The emotional body, the part that feels, is the part that is so often completely in charge of what we're doing in our life. The emotions are way stronger than anything our head will tell us. And if you can truly recognize that the Great Spirit wants what's best for you, you can instantly shatter the illusion that there's something wrong with you, or that you have to do something to be lovable. And you'll just know that when you align with what the Great Spirit wants for you, you automatically know yourself to be lovable. Know yourself to be enough. To know yourself that you belong in your body on the earth, and that no mistake was ever made in terms of who you are in your body on the earth. That these are mind conditions that we've set up for whatever reason. There's being aware of the mind. The mind's really like a vast recording station. And it's like we tune in to particular stations. So we might tune into Reality FM, or we might sort of tune into Dismal FM. We might tune into Potential FM. Let yourself just be aware of where you're tuned into. I want you just to think about how wonderful life is, how amazing it is to be here in Australia with all this glorious sunshine, these beautiful beaches. And just being aware as we look back on how life has been. If you find yourself that a couple of years ago, pre-COVID, you were still sort of quite critical how your life was, of how your freedoms might have not been what you expected. And just being aware of where you're at now and how wonderful it was to have all of those freedoms. Recognize the gap, the difference, and how very fortunate we are to live in this age of technology. The wondrousness of all of the connections that we can make whilst we're all over in different places. The wondrousness of having small devices in our pockets that can help us communicate with anybody anywhere. It's all very miraculous. And just being aware that these things have not existed for so long, that they are of this time now. And that we've actually never really had an easier time than to stay connected. It's easier now than it's ever been. So let yourself just breathe in through the crown, release through the ajna and all of the head, and just release any bands of energy, any constrictive energy that would have you telling yourself that it's a terrible thing. And instead, let yourself have a new pathway towards thinking of how good things really are. Lifting your mindset. Choosing a better mindset. Choosing to be more connected with your inner worlds. Making leaps and bounds forwards towards your best version of yourself, your most loving, most kind, most respected self. Just be aware of, for a moment, of Ganesha. This is a special Ganesha, a silver Ganesha. And just let that Ganesha energy just flow through and into you. We'll just play a little bit of Ganesha. Breathing in through the crown and out of all of the head. And then just do that and start to make the loops bigger till they're all through the body. Bring the energy down, loop it through the heart and up. Down through the heart again and up. Let yourself be helped. Let the energy flow in through the crown and out through the temples and the ajna. Let the energy flow in through the crown and into the heart, opening the heart. Let the energy flow in through the crown and down to the solar plexus and just release through the solar plexus. Just being aware of the intimate relationship that you were present to earlier in the piece. And let yourself just be aware of whatever it is that you have learned from that relationship. It might be boundaries, it might be self-control, it might be love, and whatever else went along with it. It might be self-respect. And just let that wisdom and knowledge, just allow it to come to you. And let the energy in. Just let it just percolate. Just a little bit longer. And just be aware of how you would like your life to be. In an ideal world, how would you like it to be? What would be different? Don't let yourself sort of get fatigued by thinking about that it's all too hard, that you can't do it. Just imagine, just let yourself run absolutely wild with how you would like it to be. You might want to live in Queenstown, New Zealand, or you might want to live in the south of Tasmania, or you might want to live here in Sydney, or down the south coast, the north coast, Queensland. But in your ideal world, what would it look like? Who would you be with? Who would you spend time with? Who are the people who nourish you, who make you feel good? Let that just keep percolating. Just let yourself just look to the future, 2 or 3 months from now. And I ask that Sri Shakti Amma, Sri Narayani Amma, Sri Shakti Durga, and all of the great gurus, saints, and rishis bless your vision for yourself and your future with your family, your loved ones. And then just being aware of how we would all like the world to be returning to a more normal kind of existence where we can go out in nature at our free will. And just see a future, maybe, I don't know, might be a year or 18 months from now, but project it. And just see that COVID has come under control in the best way possible, and that we are learning to live with it. Let's let it just be whatever it is. Just see it being smooth. Just seeing yourself healthy. If you've had the vaccine, just feel the vaccine integrated with your body. And knowing that you've made the right choice for you, whether you've been vaccinated or not. Using your sovereign power to know when you're doing the right thing for you. And then just being aware of the intimate relationship you're working on, and send love to that person without bias. Just sending them lots of love for the resolution of whatever it was in that relationship that was tricky, difficult, or conflictual. Lots and lots of love. And just being aware of the front of your body, and just gently bring your hands down in front of your body with your hands facing outwards. And just being aware of that inner aura, the inner space that is yours. Just gently push away anything out of your auric field that's not yours, it's nothing to do with you. Just push and then maintain the auric shield or your internal space, or however you perceive that, and make it strong, resilient. Check it for any cuts or tears or threads that might get pulled. Stabilize, 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 stabilize. And placing both hands on your heart as we give thanks to the Supreme Being, Divine Mother, Divine Father, our souls and our divine selves. We give thanks to all of the great ones who have assisted us this evening. We give thanks for the releasing and the blessing of the intimate relationship. We give thanks for all of the blessings and integration of the Mother Earth energy with our energy. May we truly come to know ourselves and love ourselves as the unique individual beings that we are. May we come to know our sovereignty, and may we come to know our own uniqueness and our collective uniqueness. Bless us in full faith through the divine grace. So be it. And just gently, just coming back when you're ready. If you want, you can rub your palms together and place them over your eyes. Just letting yourself come back to your body. You might want to give your body a shake or wiggle your toes. Well done, everybody. Okay, so we're just going to do a wee check-in. So I want you just to check in with yourself first. I want you just to feel into your body. There's a lot happened there, especially around the intimate relationship. And a lot around realizing self. So we might go with Michelle first. If you want to unmute yourself and just tell me how you are.
That was really beautiful and really calming. I feel I just can't believe synchronicity. It's amazing about relationships, and I think I got the tail end of what you were talking about in the beginning. Sorry, I was late today. Yeah, the universe is amazing. Wow. Just with that, I had a couple of moments of that reminded me of my little temper during the week. And so it was really, yeah, that was so great, that meditation. Geez, I really enjoyed it. And I've just gone onto a dating app. So it was really interesting about the relationships. And it's funny, I'm already setting boundaries that are really healthy for myself that I wouldn't do before. You know, even simple things like, you know, look,